In the entire 76-year history of the NBA, the MVP trophy has been handed out 67 times, and nearly 36% of them belong to just 5 players. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has the most with 6. Michael Jordan and Bill Russell each have 5, while LeBron James and Wilt Chamberlain sit at 4 apiece. These 5 legends account for 24 of the 67 MVP trophies ever awarded, dominating the most prestigious individual award in basketball. But what if I told you that some of those MVPs and many others went to the wrong players? What if those numbers are all wrong? Maybe Kareem should have 7 and Jordan deserved more than 5. Perhaps some players like Kobe Bryant should have multiple trophies on their shelves instead of 1. Behind every MVP announcement, there has been controversy, questionable decisions, voter fatigue, and sometimes flat-out robbery. Let's look at the most controversial MVP snubs ever, because the record books might show us who won, but do they actually tell us who deserved it? Kareem versus Cowens, 1972-73. Back in 1972-73, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar dominated for the Milwaukee Bucks with 30.2 points, 16.1 rebounds, and 5 assists per game while playing nearly 43 minutes a night. But when the MVP votes came in, the trophy went to Dave Cowens of the Boston Celtics, who averaged 20.5 points and 16.2 rebounds. The Celtics did win 68 games compared to the Bucks' 60, but let's be real, voter fatigue killed Kareem here. He'd already won MVP the previous 2 seasons, so the voters thought, why not someone else this time? The numbers didn't lie though. Kareem generated 21.9 win shares, while Cowens had just 12. That's a 9.9 win share gap, the biggest difference between an MVP winner and runner-up ever. But as crazy as the Kareem snub was, at least Cowens showed up for most of his games. The next MVP winner barely played half of the season. Bill Walton's part-time MVP, 1977-78. In 1978, Portland's Bill Walton won MVP despite playing just 58 games. That's only 71% of the season. By today's standards, which require 65 games minimum for MVP eligibility, Walton wouldn't have qualified. When Walton played, he put up 18.9 points, 13.2 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2.5 blocks. Portland went 50-10 in games Walton played. That's an 83% win rate. Meanwhile, George Gervin and David Thompson tied for the scoring title at 27.2 points per game, with Thompson leading the league in win shares with 12.7. Back then, players voted for MVP, not media, and they respected Walton's all-around impact even with limited playing time, showing how MVP criteria have changed dramatically over the years. Walton's part-time MVP had people scratching their heads, but the questionable calls continued. As we moved into the next decade, the arguments over who deserved the trophy only got more intense. Magic over Barkley, 1989-90. In 1990, Magic Johnson won his 3rd MVP trophy over Charles Barkley, despite Sir Charles putting together a monster statistical season. Magic's Lakers won 63 games with him averaging 22.3 points, 11.5 assists, and 6.6 rebounds. But Barkley carried a much heavier load for his 76ers without the support cast Magic enjoyed. Barkley averaged 25.2 points and 11.5 rebounds while shooting an incredible 60% from the field, the highest in the league that year. The numbers favored Barkley. He led in win shares with 18.4 compared to Magic's 15.2. When Barkley was on the court, the Sixers were plus 6.1 points per 100 possessions better, surpassing Magic's plus 4.9 impact. This was classic team success overcoming individual brilliance. The 90s didn't get any kinder to deserving MVP candidates. In fact, a few years later, the greatest player of all time would find himself on the wrong end of an MVP vote that he wouldn't soon forget. Jordan's revenge on Malone, 1996-97. If you want to see what happened when someone made Michael Jordan angry, look no further than the 1997 MVP race. The award went to Karl Malone over Jordan in what became one of the most famously regretted MVP decisions ever. Jordan was coming off leading the Bulls to 72 wins, but despite still being clearly the best player in the world, voters gave the trophy to Malone, who averaged 27.4 points, 9.9 rebounds, and 4.5 assists, while leading the Jazz to a 64-18 record. Jordan put up 29.6 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 4.3 assists, guiding the Bulls to a league-best 69-13 record. The advanced stats favored Jordan. He led in player efficiency rating, 29.8 versus Malone's 28.9. Win shares 18.3 to 16.7, and hit 52.1% of his shots in the fourth quarter compared to Malone's 46.8%. Despite this, Malone received 63 first-place votes to Jordan's 52. What happened next? Jordan and the Bulls faced Malone's Jazz in the NBA Finals, and MJ took over, capping it off with the iconic flu game where he dropped 38 points while visibly ill. Jordan walked away with the championship and Finals MVP, while Malone was left with a regular season award that history remembers mostly as a mistake. As the millennium turned, the MVP voting controversies didn't stop. In fact, some of the most head-scratching decisions were still to come. Iverson over Duncan, 2001-02. In 2002, the MVP race gave us a true clash of styles between Allen Iverson and Tim Duncan, with the answer taking home the trophy despite some serious question marks. Iverson averaged 31.4 points for the Sixers, but his team finished just 43-39 that season, barely scraping into the playoffs as a 6th seed in the East. Meanwhile, Tim Duncan put up 25.5 points, 12.7 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and 2.5 blocks while leading the Spurs to a league-best 58-24 record. His two-way dominance was unmatched, but it didn't translate to MVP votes. The efficiency gap was striking. Duncan's two-way production came with high percentage shooting, while Iverson's volume scoring was way less efficient. Raw scoring totals overshadowed the all-around game that Duncan brought every night. If Duncan's defense and winning couldn't earn him the trophy, imagine what it felt like to average 35 a game and not even come close. A few years later, that's exactly what happened to Kobe Bryant. Kobe versus Nash, 2005-06. In 2006, Kobe averaged 35.4 points per game, the highest since Jordan in the 80s, and even dropped 81 points in a single game against Toronto. Meanwhile, Steve Nash won his second straight MVP, averaging 18.8 points and 10.5 assists. Nash shot over 50% from the field and made the 50-40-90 club while running the offense in Phoenix. The voting breakdown was especially weird. Kobe actually got more first-place votes, 22, than LeBron, 16, and Dirk, 14, but somehow finished 4th overall. Nash ran away with it at 57 first-place votes, despite Kobe dragging a Lakers team starting Smush Parker and Kwame Brown to 45 wins in the loaded West. Kobe would eventually get his MVP, but in a twist of irony, when he finally did win it, he might not have been the most deserving player that year either. Kobe's makeup MVP over CP3, 2007-08. Kobe Bryant's lone MVP award in 2008 might actually belong to Chris Paul. CP3 put together an insane season for the Hornets, leading the league in both assists, 11.6 per game, and steals, 2.7 per game, while taking a less talented roster to 56 wins. Kobe averaged 28.3 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 5.4 assists for the Lakers, who finished with 57 wins, just one game ahead. The advanced metrics favored Paul by a mile. His player efficiency rating was an elite 28.3 compared to Kobe's 24.2. Paul also crushed it in win shares with 17.8, nearly 4 more than Kobe's 13.8, and his value over replacement player was 9.3, almost double Kobe's 5.4. The Lakers went 30-16 before the Gasol trade and 27-9 after, while Paul posted 8 games with at least 20 points and 15 assists, something no other player did that season. As if the MVP voting wasn't controversial enough already, things got even more heated in 2011 when public perception completely overshadowed statistical reality. The Rose over LeBron controversy, 2010-11. The 2010-11 MVP race was probably the most narrative-driven award in recent NBA history. Chicago's Derrick Rose became the youngest MVP ever at 22, winning over Miami's LeBron James and Orlando's Dwight Howard. Rose averaged 25 points and 7.7 assists while leading the Bulls to a league-best 62 wins. This was LeBron's first season in Miami after the decision when he announced on TV that he was leaving Cleveland. The NBA world was furious with him, and that hatred affected the voting. LeBron averaged 26.7 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 7 assists, with a player efficiency rating of 27.3. Then there was Dwight Howard, winning Defensive Player of the Year with 22.9 points. 14.1 rebounds, and 2.4 blocks per game. Both LeBron and Howard had higher win shares than Rose, 15.6 for LeBron and 14.1 for Howard, compared to Rose's 13.1. But Rose had the perfect story, the hometown kid leading the blue-collar Bulls back to relevance. The LeBron MVP snub in 2011 wouldn't be the last time he'd be denied the trophy despite a strong case. Just a few years later, it would happen again. LeBron versus Durant, 2013-14. In 2014, Kevin Durant finally broke through and won the MVP over LeBron James. KD averaged 32 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 5.5 assists while shooting an impressive 50.3% from the field and winning his 4th scoring title. His PER of 29.8 ranked first in the league, and he led the NBA with 19.2 win shares. But LeBron was still clearly the best player on the planet, posting a career-high 56.7% field goal percentage. LeBron's true shooting percentage was .649 compared to Durant's .635, showing his superior efficiency. The Heat were also plus 12.1 points per 100 possessions, with LeBron on the floor compared to Oklahoma City's plus 7.4 with Durant. Durant's case got stronger when Russell Westbrook missed 36 games and KD carried the Thunder to 59 wins. Even in clutch moments, it was close. Durant averaged 6.1 points per game in the 4th quarter, slightly ahead of LeBron's 5.8. The criteria for MVP had shifted from best player in the world to best statistical season. Durant's famous MVP speech, where he called his mother the real MVP, then became iconic.
So we ate, you went to sleep hungry, you sacrificed for us. You the real MVP.
The irony some critics pointed out was that if best player alive was still the standard, then neither Durant nor his mother was truly the real MVP. It was still LeBron. So what do you think? Which MVP snub gets you the most heated? Drop your most controversial MVP takes in the comments below. I want to know which player you think got robbed the worst. And for more deep dives into numbers, stories, and controversies that shaped basketball history, subscribe to Behind the Ball and hit that notification bell. We break down the science and stats behind the game's biggest moments every week. Until next time, I'll see you on the hardwood.